and welcome in for another amazing rendition of the One Eye Scout Live, 7 o'clock. Phil, I'm always excited to get on the show. I
Oh
am.
yeah.
But tonight was a little bit of a dilemma, man, because St. Mary's is hosting their last elite camp of the summer. And I know that they had a good turnout, and I know they were excited about some of the guys that were coming in. So shout out to St. Mary's. They always let us come through. But
Yeah.
hey, so we just finished the summer. We just finished AAU, and now we got to start getting ready for school ball. I saw a study just the other day that was asking players if they're more excited about high school ball or AAU ball. And I want to say it was 78% they were excited about school ball, which kind of makes sense because they're playing in
Yeah.
front of their peers and representing their different communities. But you know, when you think about it, it's a totally different mindset as these guys are getting ready. And this is really the time where you can start seeing a separation, from those that really stay ready and those that are gonna have to get ready. And coaches, they're not looking for the ones that have to get ready. They want to be able to walk into a gym and see right away, the shots falling, and it even trickles down to us, man, because we
Well,
have that combine coming up on next Saturday,
right.
and we chose that date specifically because we didn't want anybody to have time to get out of shape, you know,
Yeah.
and so that's always something. But how do you think high school players can continue showing their growth outside of the tournaments?
Well, Kev, like you mentioned, a part of it is like anything else, staying ready, and instead of having to get ready, and you know, like you mentioned, you just finished a U season, and all.
Mhm.
That's no time to sit back and talk and stuff. You still have to keep preparing the best you can. If you take off a few days, guess what? You're out of shape. I know it sounds kind of weird for people that haven't
Mhm.
really had to get in shape and play competitive ball, but you know yourself, a few days off, you get out of shape when it comes to doing that. So, Kev, you got to just keep that mindset of just being ready, staying ready, because if you have to get ready, you're already too late in the game. But I do want to say about that 78% wanting, thinking about and playing ball for the
Mhm.
school. Yeah, that's the badge of honor. You get to be big man on campus. I mean,
Yeah.
you get to be the one to even tell the people that came before you or the people after you, this is what I did. I
Mhm.
not 2 years later, not 20 years later, 40 years later, you can still have that bragging right when you go to do stuff. Yeah. So, Kev, the whole thing is you just have to continue to have that doggedness to put in the work that you need to do. That's getting in the gym, that's doing your workouts, that's doing your shots. What it takes to stay ready. You got to stay
Mhm.
ready.
And that's kind of leading into what a coach is looking for. And one thing I like about school ball is there's a certain level of finality. You only get a set number of games until you get in
Yep.
the playoffs, and then it's one and done. Whereas in the summers, if you have a bad weekend, you should go find another tournament to jump in. And so
Right.
coaches right now, they're really honed in on looking at effort, looking at communication. We always talk about defense. So That's what coaches are really looking forward to, man. And I think if you're an underclassman, and I know that there's a lot of class of 28 players that are really looking to try and steal some time on the courts this season. And that's another reason that we went ahead and set up that combine because we're getting in those 28s. I've talked to a couple of high school coaches that are sending some of their guys over. Um, we're over halfway full in that session, so it's gonna be a good turnout, man. JC's gonna turn up the heat. We're gonna see what people are bringing to the kitchen. But
Yeah, yeah, Cat. But you know what I'm loving about the combine that you're going to have is that it's not about getting that star player.
mhm,
You know, it's about that player that's going to get an opportunity to show why people should be looking at them. You know,
mhm.
and like I say, it's a time for someone to come there and be ready to show out.
Yeah,
You know,
and another thing, man, there's become this sub narrative that it was an invite only. And I still
mm,
have guys texting me, "Hey, I want to come. Can I come?" And we said it from the beginning. We said it from the start that this wasn't about invites. This was about you want the opportunity. You want us to come watch you. Me and Phil come watch you during the season. Then you come out and you demonstrate why we need to be there. At $50 a pop, it's 66% less than anybody else in the city. And
anybody.
and you know what? Um, I'm just gonna say Taft. Taft guys. He reached out to me last year and about coming out to see him, and the needle wasn't moving, uh, but we laid it out there, and man, there's like three or four guys that have big summers from Taft that are all lined up and ready to go. So we're gonna get to put three eyes on them with my situation, but it's gonna be a good thing, man.
Yeah, Kev, I was just at the doghouse with you this past Sunday, and you talk about the heat getting turned up, and and JC is going to, turn it up on them. People, you are getting the opportunity, and look, I'm not poo-pooing $50 because $50 is $50, but
Yeah,
$50 is a four-track from 150, from $250 to get class one A1 training. Um,
yeah.
you couldn't put yourself in a better situation for $50.
And trending in the signups right now, man, is I don't know, the coaches, the kids are just now catching on, and man, there was four or five guys today that reached out and signed up today that are all in that 28 class. So that's been, and as far as getting ready, man, all you gotta do, come in shape, be in shape, so you're gonna play defense, because your offensive game is got to be there. But the separator is and always has been defense.
Hustle,
Um,
people, effort.
you know, uh, Phil, I know what I'm going to be looking for during those live drills, and body language, intensity, and leadership. Who's going to be the one to stand up and get in the front of the line? Who's going to be the one to have the courage to get in the front of the line? And who's going to sit back and just kind of dip further and further back? Because that's what's going to happen. We're going to see it. We're going to see it, man. But all right, so you had your first trip out to the doghouse. What are you? What piece of advice are you giving to someone that's coming out there for the first time?
Well, Kev, I'm going to tell them be prepared to work because you are going to get worked out. And that should be what you should be excited about to know that you're going to have an individual that are individuals that are really quality trainers showing you and putting you through the workout to make you a better player. And all I can say is be ready to put that effort in. And look, you only got a couple of few more days. You only got a few more days. But the whole point is, if you feel you need to do that extra bit of running, if you feel you need to do that extra bit of weightlifting, you better get it done so you can show your best when you get to the doghouse for Cavs Combine. Because I'm telling you right now, it ain't for everybody. So when you come, you better be ready to do your thing.
But you know what, Phil? I think it's the perfect situation, regardless of the results that a student athlete puts out there, that they have the opportunity to learn and grow.
Yeah,
Whether you go out there and put your best performance on, or you go out there and you realize that you're not where you thought you were, at least you'll have a barometer that
yes.
says, this is where I need to work, this is where I need to be, while you still have a chance before school ball really kicks in, when you get those practice periods,
Yeah.
you know where you got to work. But
Well, yeah,
hmm?
yeah. No, but Kev, like you said, this is the time for you to come out and not only show, but be shown
Hmm.
where you're at, and don't duck the line. I know a lot of times, Kev, when I knew I might not even be prepared, but because I was prepared so much in class that when I raise my hand to go first, sometimes I'm really saying, "Please, teacher, pick somebody else." And they'd be like, "Phil, you always want to know. You always want to go, right?" So
Hmm.
look, you might surprise yourself. Raise your hand, run to the front of the line, because now you could be putting pressure on somebody else to step up and do something instead of trying to see if they're going to put some pressure on you to show what you can do.
Phil, I kind of want to, well, not kind of, we're going to transition into what the real resume that you're trying to put together. And it's more than just stats and film. You know, you're putting together your work, and then you're going to go and take your results, and then you're going to go put things into games, put things into play. You mentioned grades, man. We know we have several very strong podcasts over on episodes on Truth in the Trenches. You can get that on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. And people need to listen closely, because grades are becoming more important than ever before as they start this new revolution in scholarship money. And so that's what guys need to understand. And truth, Phil, they got to understand that coach is going to be on this live stream. You know,
Oh
I've
yeah.
I've talked with Northwestern State out of Louisiana. I've talked to Air Force Academy out of Colorado. Uh, Several of my guys up in the mountains in Montana and North Dakota, they've already gotten on, and those guys, they really like to recruit San Antonio. Because there's a different toughness, because you're always counted out here. So there's a different toughness to get to the level they're trying to be collegiate players, collegiate athletes. And guys need to look at opportunities like this when live streams are available, because, you know, it's just a fact that small universities, small colleges don't have the recruiting funds to fly down to Texas
I
and recruit
drive.
our drive, and recruit people that they not they don't know about. But if we can provide them with the film that we're doing, and then all they got to do is sit in their office to watch. That's what I was talking to one coach, and we were laughing about that today. The ability for him to sit in his office and watch, versus they don't like to travel any more than the next adult wants to travel, but they get to make the notes, and then they turn right over into the calls. And so um, guys need to take advantage, and I know I like to put it out there. You know, Phil, I like to put it out there. This is what we're doing, and this is why we're different. You know, a lot of people wanted to join us along the journey, wanted us to join them. And I've said it from the beginning. I'm not like everybody else. You know, I'm just not. And I don't care what other people are doing. We've been doing this for 15 plus years, putting kids in school all over the country. And we're showing you part of the prescription because anybody can have the recipe. Anybody can have a cake recipe, but do they know how to cook that recipe? But go ahead, Phil. I know you got something.
No, Kev, I just want to say, people, did you hear what he said? That's 15 years of doing this and actually putting people into college programs. And what I want to say to this is that you're not just getting somebody that's going to be, hey, look, what? No, Kevin, the one-eyed scout will help you put together a package to
Yeah.
help you get there. We'll talk to coaches for you to help you get there. All you got to do is come there and do what you need to do. Be professional about it. Kevin just mentioned coaches are watching the live streams. They're not just watching it to, to see you up and down on the court. There are going to be pans where the camera pans, and we're going to get a chance to see, and coaches are going to get a chance to see, are you demonstrating some leadership abilities when you're off the court, on the sideline? Are you sulking because they just saw you got pulled out? How are you reacting to that? People, always be prepared from the moment you walk in that gym to the time you walk out of it to have the understanding that there are eyes on you. And not only are the coaches going to be watching you in the live streams, but you see that guy that just turned his head right there, the one-eyed scout, they're going to be asking him about you. So
You
put your
know,
best foot forward.
you're right. And let's add another layer in there. Coaches not only watch the athletes, they're watching the parents as well. You
Oh, for
know, and
sure.
and we have an episode that's going to roll out tomorrow that is all about what parents can do to help and what parents can do to hurt. You know,
Yeah.
and so the parents have to start looking at the narrative already and looking at what extra things we can bring about grades, attitude, performance. And that's the missing pieces that are going to separate the ones and the twos and the one and the threes, you know. But
Right.
hey man, let's go ahead and start looking up at the weekend. You know, we've talked about the combine next weekend. This weekend, this weekend we're gonna roll out and we're gonna head over to the Incarnate Word women's basketball camp and watch that in its entirety because there's so much female basketball talent in the city that we're going to get to watch them compete, uh, go through a great workout, maybe find some separation in some of the girls that who's going to stand out over others. And Phil, we're going to leave that. And at 155, we're going to be up at Southwest Legacy because Piper with Parker Gulch, Sam Medina, and Mason Thomas are going to be
Mason
playing against
Thomas.
Lakers. Yeah, we knew we'd get his name in here tonight.
Yeah.
You know, he got his offer to Air Force and went ahead and you know, when he went ahead and we waited on him to put it out. I'll put it to you like that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't stand when people uh take the information from the kid and don't let the kid put it out whenever they're ready. Um, you know, and so I know I was really proud, really happy for him to put that out today. But I know there's other people that are in the mix for him, you know, but 6'6" body, range, shooting range. And I just really want to see what Piper is going to put together for this year. Sam Medina will be at the combine, um, but man, he went from a little bit of an unknown and went and played with Progress Only with Coach Anwar King. And man, right off the bat, the first weekend, he had gained some interest just because he's such a knockdown shooter and
Hmm.
played so hard on defense. And so people are asking, well, is this a tournament? Is it a tournament? And it's not a tournament per se. It's a showcase opportunity. There'll be two games on Saturday and two games on Sunday for Piper, but there's Judson's going to be there. I'm not sure about Steele. There's multiple teams that are going to be there. But the thing is, you know what this is for, Phil? This is for those officials. This is like training camp for the officials. And so they get out there and they start getting their work in, and some of those officials that I saw out there at the in those tournaments, Phil, they need the training camp. And
That, Kev, that is funny because think about it. An official can really ruin your season for you
yeah,
if they're doing bad refereeing at your games. But Kev, I
yeah,
know we're on that, but I want to get back to that UIW,
yeah.
um, the combine that's going to be at Incarnate Word. People, get out. One of the beauties that I got, beautiful sights I got to see at the doghouse this weekend was that there were so many young ladies in there getting
Mm,
this training, doing the preparation. And what I'm saying, it was hot, and they
mhm.
were taking the heat from JC, and they were relentless in what they were doing. They
Yeah.
they went through it. People, they are putting a good product out for you to see. And I tell everyone, if you don't know anything about basketball, if you don't know how to play basketball, go and watch the women play basketball. Go and watch the girls play basketball. That is as good a start as you can get in seeing some good basketball. And so I'm really excited as far as how the women's game has taken off. But I'm more excited about what the One-Eyed Scout is going to be doing for the women's game. And I know Kev is going to talk about that at some point.
Yes, yes, we are. But you know what? We're gonna
Yes.
wait till September 1st, and the news is gonna start trickling out for that big September 15 launch. But you'll see us. You can probably read between the lines. You'll see us at a few more girls events. You know, um, I wanted to talk about uh, who are a few players that we'll be watching closely in this weekend uh, at the guy out of Southwest Legacy, and we're gonna be looking, of course, at Mason Thomas. He just got his offer to Air Force Academy. We're gonna be seeing Jalen Crittenden, Red. Red came off of official visit to Benedictine and got a full uh, offer for his 4 years of service at that school, and I know he was excited. And so there's little rumblings, about Jamil over at Steel. His
Right.
recruitment's picked up. Um, been on the phone about him a lot lately. Um, on the phone with North Texas, specifically North Texas, about some of the 27s in the city. And there's a few other coaches that we've talked with, and man, there's some exciting times for these 26s, 27s that I think we're going to see some schools come back around. Whether because they people put a decent push to get some early commitments, And what happens is, so sometimes you need a Jimmy to go ahead and commit wherever they're going to commit, so that Johnny may be the next best option. But until Jimmy goes, Johnny can't go. And
Right.
that's just how it happens. It doesn't mean he's a second choice, but people start having to sift through the different players that are available. And man, talking about the sifting process, you know, uh, Joshua Rice, when he was with Steel, um, probably didn't get the attention that he deserved. And it's just interesting, man, because he plopped down up there in Allen, and his recruitability's been picking up. I've got a good connection with that family, uh, and listening in to what's going on, and their Allen is actually hosting the Noble. So I'm gonna get a chance to watch him up close twice. Harlan is going to the Noble.
Yeah.
Antonia is going to the Noble. Steele's going to the Noble. There's Brennan is going to the
Oh
Noble.
yeah.
So that's four teams that they may not be at the same one, but they're going to be playing high quality basketball.
Oh yeah. And could he have gone to a better place than Allen?
Man,
I mean, goodness gracious.
you can't say that boy's worried about the smoke because
No.
they got guards for days,
Yeah.
and they're relentless, which is kind of his play style. Uh, man, he could jump out the gym, but I've been watching him in here lately uh, in some workouts, and man, he's more explosive now than he was when he was here. And so never quit going to the weight room. You know, um, you know how how do all right? So how do people decide and make themselves the one that gets filmed, tweeted, or posted? You know, uh, and I want to talk about this for a minute because you'll see where a videographer will record an athlete that tries to drive to the paint, backs it up, go between the legs two or three times, fakes it, comes back, sidestep, 3-point shot, right? Man, to me, I wish they would stop because that's the most ridiculous thing. There is actual percentages that go down drastically the more times you dribble a basketball.
Yeah.
And we're putting the wrong things up. And it's actually gotten to a point, man, talking to several coaches, that's gotten to a point where coaches, they're not turned off, but they're not paying attention to those type of highlights anymore because it become oversaturated. So I prefer the highlight and or the play where you pass the ball, move without the ball, and your teammates hit you on the backside cut or backdoor cut. That says you know basketball, you know. And so if you go back and look, young man, young lady, at the things that I tweet about, it's very rarely a dribble shot. I tweet about defense. I tweet about passing ball. I tweet about rebounding and shooting. I mean, yes, but man, there's so much more, and that's kind of what our draw to the girls' game is, Phil,
Yeah.
because there's a few girls that can do that, and then they got a game like that, a bag like that. But for the large majority, they don't play that way, and
Right.
so that's kind of what people need to see. Um, and man, you know what? I hope Jazakri De Leon comes out next weekend from Harlan. man, he impressed me so much at TABC, um, not trapping, defending all over the court, making the appropriate moves, the appropriate pass. You know, that one, he's one I like to watch. Uh, Jamil over at Steel, another one. You know, you got Talon Todd, you got Amari Guerra, but the one that keeps sticking out, man, that coaches keep looking and talking to you about is Jaden Jones out of Clark High School. And I'll tell you, and I'll tell everyone here, you need to watch him 2 or 3 times because the first time you're gonna sit there and say, okay. The second and third time you're gonna be like, I like him, but I don't know why. About the fourth or fifth time, you're like, oh, that's it, man, because your man's long, 6'3", plays defense. He's a little bit on the thin side, but athletic. And that's what I told him one time. I said, man, the only thing different between you and a Division I player is you don't go and dunk the ball, you know, or at least attempt. And that's something that guys do miss out on when they take it to the hole and just lay it in. Now, if you're under the rim or you're not a dunker, there's no knocking that. But when you got athleticism and you can do it, I promise you, dunk the ball hard every single time, and coaches will turn. You know, because it's just that's where you show your athleticism. That or dunk or blocking shots. If you can block like Kareem, Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain, where you block it not out of in the third row, because you just give the ball right back to him, or block it where your teammate can get it. You know, and that when they start talking about effectiveness, impact on the game, did you know that that a rebound, right? A rebound in these formulas are worth 2.5 points because 2 points for the basket that you stopped or that you scored, and a half point because some of those are going to be offensive rebounds that you score. You know, and so I wish guys, ladies would understand rebound the basketball. You know, if a player got 12 rebounds a game, all right, 12, I don't see him not getting recruited somewhere because the rebound ends a possession or it extends a possession. You know, and I just think sometimes that's not what's cool. You know, back in your heyday, you talked about Dennis Rodman just the other day. You know, and that's a guy who 25 rebounds, 0 points, and they walked out winners. You know,
Right.
but I am going to tell everyone, Phil was wrong.
I
He
was
said
wrong.
Dennis Rodman would be a first round pick.
I did.
You did, and he wound up being his first pick of the second round. But we'll forgive you for that, man.
Yeah, yeah, I was wrong. But Kat, um, I want to get back to what you just mentioned about rebounds.
Hmm.
Coaches, and we know, Kat, that coaches just don't go with whether you can rebound or not.
Hmm.
There's a place for you if you can offensive rebound, especially.
Hmm.
So rebounding is such a strong suit if someone wants to get in there and do that dirty work. But Kev, I want to get back to one thing you said earlier because I think it's a really key thing that you said, and I hope that someone was out there listening. When you talked about the person going like they're going to the driving to the basket, backing it out, dribbling, then going back in, dribbling back out, and shooting a three-pointer. And you know, look, after a while, guess what? I really don't care how good your team is. You got teammates there.
Hmm.
They want to be a part of the game. Doesn't mean that they don't think, fine, you should score, but you need to include them. So, like you said, and I want you to look at the value of this, people. You set up, you get the ball, you dribble, you handle the ball. What? You pass the ball out And look, now your teammates involved. Now you get to demonstrate some IQ,
Yep.
which is going to be when I cut to the basket. Am I going to get that backdoor cut? And now you got a teammate. Let's say you get that backdoor cut to the basket, and he hits you with that pass, and you score the bucket. Nobody's more happier than he is because he was able to get that to you. He's feeling a sense of accomplishment. You gotten that bucket that you wanted. And guess what? The rest of the team is happy because you shared the ball. So you've demonstrated a few different things in there, and it will make you a better player, and it's going to make you an even better teammate. So that's a really important thing that Kevin had pointed out earlier, and I just wanted to reiterate it.
Yeah. You know, and and talking about that incarnate word uh, basketball camp, I think that this particular camp stands out the most because it's Coach Player's first camp. You know, she's new to the program. You know, Coach Down had a great year at Incarnate Word, and then went to and relocated to southeastern Louisiana.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, and that's a state that's loaded with talent, man. Up and down Louisiana, Houston area. Uh, you know, we got San Antonio, Dallas areas, but I think it's going to be important, man, because if one of these coaches can lock in on the city, and I need to do this research, man. But do you know that there's more girls in the city going Division 1 year after year than there are boys in the city? So that we need to lock in and get those percentages. But I do feel like that's an important one uh, for this weekend. And I think when we look at who's going to walk away with the most buzz, you know, and what does it mean when a coach says they're different? I think you gotta separate yourself, and the easiest way to separate yourself is to fend the fire out of someone. And we talk about. I personally am not a fan of the showcase uh, camps, and I tell you why. Because if you're a team player, if you come from a program that runs team sets, then you're not going to get off the same way because you're dependent with the system. So I tell people when that happens, go back to the things you control. You always control defense through effort. You're always going to control rebounding, and nobody wants to do that. That's fine. You be that one person that does, and you'll be the one labeled they're different. And so I think that's an important thing. We were talking about it, but Phil, we went a little longer today, which is fine. I think we had some
Wow.
great conversation. Um, for those of y'all that don't know, um, the One Eye Scout Twitter got hacked. So we had to restart it under Kevin One Eye at Kevin One Eye. But with that, we got a new Twitter, we got a new energy, and you know what else has changed is we got a new network, and we're now officially the One Eye Network, and the Twitter handle is Ton of Truth. Because we recognize ourselves as always telling the truth, whether they like it or not. I'm gonna give you an honest response, and it's doing well, man. People are really tuning in. Um, got a lot of old followers back. Got a lot of new ones coming in, and I just want to say, moving forward, we're going to continue to do the watch list. We're going to continue to bring these live shows every Wednesday night. We're going to continue with the truth in the trenches. But another thing that we're going to start is we're going to blend more storytelling in with this. And so you can be on the lookout for a new show popping up, Sosa, and it's going to be stories of San Antonio. Um, and I think that's going to help us take back and get some old school stories, some new school stories, and just stories of guys and ladies that are just working their ass off, and they just may not hit that top tier, because I do believe that athletics teaches you more about life than anything else, and so we're going to start moving forward with that. um, I appreciate everybody for joining in, and remember, this is your Wednesday night spot, unless you go to church, and you can catch us on replay. All right, it ain't for everybody, and we'll see you this weekend.